Hey everyone, I hope you're well. Today we're going to be talking about the 10 best weapons in Apex Legends Season 7. Now, the weapon meta hasn't really changed much in terms of buffs and nerfs. There have been some, but it's not massive. However, with the introduction of Olympus, which has more open areas between points of interest, it does mean that the weapon meta has changed a little bit to favor slightly more long-ranged engagements. However, the up-close, super aggressive playstyle still works really well, so we're going to see some returning weapons on this list and some new additions as well. Now, before we get into this list, I have a very important message. Do you remember that sound? It may have been a while since you last had a bit of a trim and kept yourself nice and clean and tidy in this crazy lockdown era we're in, but hey, during those sweaty gaming moments, things can get a bit too sweaty, and that's why you may want to pick up the Manscaped Performance Package. Yes, this video is sponsored by Manscaped, and they wanted me to show you their latest bundle. Essentially, you get a bundle of very useful things to keep yourself nice and clean and tidy, including the Lawn Mower 3.0. Now, the Performance Package also comes with the Weed Whacker. We know there's some hairs that get up in there and there. They're a little bit too hard to get. This thing will help and make sure to do it safely. The build quality is very similar to the lawnmower. It feels very strong. They're both waterproof and both can be charged through the same method. So super handy. The performance package also comes with some handy dandy things to keep your balls nice and clean. Gaming sessions can get pretty sweaty, and whilst we're in lockdown we're going to be doing a lot of those, let's be honest. If you check the link in the description, you can get the new performance package with 20% off, free international shipping, and you'll get a free pair of boxers and a travel bag. Manscaped is the place to go for this kind of stuff, personal men's grooming. You'll also be able to find the Shears 2.0 to clean up your nails. You'll get some tweezers, some scissors, fingernail clippers, and a nail file, all included in a very nice leather case. So thanks again to Manscaped. You can find all the details in the description. Let's jump into the list. Up at 10 we have the Devotion. Now the Devotion is still a very strong weapon in terms of damage per second. The time to kill on this thing is incredible. The reason it's not rated any higher is because it has very bad hipfire spread now. You don't want to be hipfiring with this thing. You've got to be aiming down sights really, and that means you're going to be moving slow. LMGs have very slow movement speed whilst aiming down sights, and movement speed and movement in this game is very important. Now, the Devotion is on this list for another reason. It has one of the fastest bullet travel times in the game. And what that means is the bullet's going to get from point A to point B faster. So if you're hitting someone long range, it's going to feel almost instant when you're using a Devotion. Unfortunately, there is a lot of recoil on this thing, but you can still sort of tap fire it and spam fire it and you will hit your targets. Now, if you want to know the exact stats, the Devotion has a 33.5 thousand bullet projectile launch speed, whereas something like the Triple Take only has 31,000. The Devotion has faster bullet velocity than the Triple Take. So you can see why it's kind of a special weapon. Not amazing though, there are a lot of better weapons, and I would suggest considering the rest of the weapons, because having an LMG have such slow movement speed can be limiting, and it's not quite as useful as a sniper in some cases because of that massive kick when shooting long range. It's sort of there just to spam long range when someone's really low and you need to get like 1 or 2 shots off. Number 9, we have the Scout. Now the Scout is really strong. It's not as strong as it used to be, and that's why it's not anywhere higher in this list. However, I have reintroduced the Scout into this top 10 list. It wasn't in Season 6, and the reason for that is quite simple. There are 2 reasons. Firstly, the meta has kind of evolved. The Legend meta, you're seeing a lot of Gibraltar players right now, and this weapon goes really well on Gibraltar because the major issue and the major problem with the Scout and why people don't use it is it has sniper aim down sight movement speed. So you're going to be moving really slowly when aiming down sights with this thing, but when you're playing someone like Gibby and you can just hold angles with your gun shield, it's not a problem. So that's really great in itself. Another thing we're also going to talk about, once again, the larger distance between points of interest in this game. There's more open area, which means sniper weapons, longer range weapons do better. The Scout, whilst now being an assault rifle, still has very good bullet projectile launch speed. I think it's like 30,000 or something, so pretty much in line with the other snipers. So you're going to be able to fire this thing. It's going to be easier to hit your shots at long range, and you can spam fire it like crazy. So it's very powerful long range, and it's okay up close if you're playing Gibraltar or Rampart. Other than that, you probably want a different weapon. At number 8, we have the R301. The R301 has always been a versatile weapon. It has a decent time to kill, it has very decent recoil control, it has decent range, it has decent hip fire spread. It's not the best weapon, but it is very well rounded. If you get good with the R301, you're going to be able to use it for pretty much anything you want to, which frees up your slot for something more specific, like a Mastiff or a triple take, something that has a very specific purpose, because the R301 is so versatile. A very good weapon to get good with. If you learn how to use this weapon, I mean, it's not hard, but you can spray this thing, get the recoil control down, and you're going to be doing really well at all engagement distances. Up next, we have the Flatline. Now, the Flatline is sort of like an R301 with a little harder to control recoil, just a tiny bit. It's not actually that different. However, it does have more damage, so that is really great. The overall time to kill is very similar between these weapons, but that extra damage means that 2 times headshot multiplier is going to feel so much more significant. This thing is going to be able to beam people if you get just a couple headshots on a player, and it's that power that definitely gets it a 1 up on the R301. Up next, we have the triple take at number 6. Now, snipers are decent, but they are a little difficult to use, and one of the reasons is when you have a low fire rate weapon and someone's moving around long distance, it's just such a pain to hit someone. Pair that with the fact that you're going to be aiming down sights with a sniper movement speed, which means you're going to be strafing left and right slower than they are. So in some cases, it's actually easier to hit someone long range with something like a wingman or even like a vault or something in some cases, because that player is going to be strafing left and right faster, and you're not going to be able to really predict that kind of movement long range. Now, the triple take is a little different, and the reason for that is whilst it does have a tiny bit better projectile speed and bullet drop compared to the other snipers, the main reason is that it has a spread which basically allows you to hit a target no matter what. If they're strafing left and right and you don't fully choke in the spread, you're going to hit them because it's going to be one of the bullets is going to be in the area that they're moving. Sniper bullets also get larger the longer they travel through the air, which sounds pretty crazy, but it's a feature to kind of give snipers more power long range, and that basically means that the triple take spread, when it's kind of like half choked alongside the larger sniper bullets, means that if someone's in your crosshair, they're going to be getting hit for like 26 at least. So it's very good. It's also very good in hip fire, and it's a weapon that has accuracy so long as you're aiming down sights. No matter what you're doing, if you're jumping, sprinting, flying through the air a million miles an hour, you're going to be completely accurate when you ADS, and there's not many weapons that have that, and considering this can do 138 total to the head, that's very powerful. Up next at number 5, we have the Mastiff. The Mastiff is a very powerful weapon in this game, but we have to admit that it is quite situational. You need to be able to play around cover very well, and you need to be in the engagement distance to put it to good use. And no matter what, even if you're absolutely cracked with the Mastiff, you know how to peek cover very well, you can hit hundreds, you're still going to be hitting 14 sometimes because of the way players move around. Sometimes they'll crouch, sometimes you'll be fighting against a Wraith, and those 14s are just inevitable. If we could somehow stop those low damage shots from happening, I would say the Mastiff would be ranked much higher. And also we have to consider that it isn't the most versatile weapon. However, the value is definitely there. It's such a strong weapon. You can peek in and out of cover, and each time you do that, absolutely shred away someone's health. It's so strong at turning fights around in the blink of an eye, and definitely a weapon you want to be considering so long as you have a versatile first weapon such as an R301 or something similar. Number 4, we have the Hemlock. The Hemlock is crazy good still. Even after a nerf, it's still really strong. It's really good in hip fire to burst people down. It's really effective long range both in burst and single fire. It's just so easy to use this weapon, and the amount of damage it does per burst is just scary. The fact that you can just peek a corner for a second, shoot someone and burst them down for potentially 66 damage, and then peek back before they even have a chance to really retaliate is incredible. It's really strong, a really easy weapon to use, and if you need a long range weapon that you want to have some versatility up close, this is the gun to go for. I would suggest that if you want to take an AR, this is the one you should take. There's no competition at this point. Up next, we have the Volt in number 3. Now, obviously, having a long-range weapon is important, right? It's very important. But the Volt kind of bridges the gap between a long-range weapon and a short-range weapon that can do a lot higher time to kill. The Volt has a pretty good projectile launch speed, not the best, but it is faster than the Wingman and a few other weapons, and it gives it some value at long range. You can tap fire or sort of burst at long distances and get some damage off. I like putting a 2x on this thing, and up close this thing shreds as well. It can do a lot of damage per mag as well, with 16 damage per shot, so it is higher than the other SMGs, which is really great. It's a very forgiving, versatile SMG that's going to get you through a lot of situations. Now, I've put the R99 in number 2, and while some people may argue that the Volt is better, I want to give my opinion. Now, the Volt may be the more versatile weapon. It may serve you at longer distances. It may have more ammo and damage per mag than the R9 by a long shot. However, the R99 is a beam machine. It is the highest time to kill SMG, and that's going to help you knock down players a lot faster so long as you can hit your shots. And on top of that, the R99 has very good hip-fire control. 3 times better hip-fire control than the Volt in most situations. So whether you're moving, crouching, or kind of running around a bit, the hip-fire on this weapon is very viable. In fact, you can shoot whilst mid-air and still hit most of your shots. That gives you the ability to be more mobile, push more aggressively, and have more control of your movement in very important situations where movement's going to matter the most. And that's why the R99 is ranked higher to me, is that versatility in movement that I prefer over the Volt, and why I think it's definitely worth considering using this weapon over the Volt in many cases. Finally, we have the Wingman. I'm sorry, I just keep having to put the Wingman in top 1. It's still for the same reasons. I mean, it's still such a strong weapon. You can move whilst aiming down sights at the same speed as if you were hip firing. It has very, very good damage per shot. It means you don't really need to carry much ammo. The reload time is fast. And now with the quick draw hop up, if you can't find a skull piercer, the hip fire potential on this thing is pretty good as well. So that has its benefits at times. It's just a really strong, versatile weapon that you can rely on, and make sure you have more space in your backpack for other more important things like grenades, right? Grenades are really important, and it can be spammed long range as well. Whilst it doesn't have the fastest bullet travel time, it's slightly lower than the Volts, lower than the R301 in the flatline, but the important thing is you can spam at long range while strafing back and forth very effectively, so you're less likely to get hit yourself, and if you hit a shot, 45 damage on a player is very, very good. A very strong weapon. Yes, it takes some skill to learn, but we can't really rank weapons lower just because they're a little harder to get good with. And honestly, as long as you just breathe and relax and focus your aim, you're going to be hitting shots with this thing. It's very, very good. And I really think anyone who plays Apex and wants to get good at the game should really consider learning this weapon. So that's it. That's my top 10 list. I hope this video was useful. Leave your own opinions on how you would rank these weapons by leaving your comment below, and I'll see you there. Cheerio!